Lee, nice to meet you in Moscow.
Nice to meet you too as well.
Thank you.
The word soul or soul music is a particular sound. It's a sound that dates back to the 50s, 60s, where the African American musician music began to make its way into the mainstream of American music. I think of soul. Some of the most recent artists would be, in my time, in my generation, would be people like Ray Charles, for example. You know, he's considered a soulful singer.
Good example.
Good example. Yeah, very from the heart. The word soul means something deep inside, something from the heart. And a lot of the songs that I write originate from my heart. It's a special gift to be able to create music, and you could almost say that just about every song that you write is a soul song because it comes from the heart. But it's really a particular type of sound that comes from the South originally, Louisiana, Mississippi, the Southern, and we talk about the hard times that blacks experienced back in the civil rights era, and a lot of the songs came from that period of time. So, and it may have started before then, but for me, it kind of began in that period of time. Well, it's just of course, as far as the subject matter, love. It could be about life in general. If you're a songwriter like myself, you're not limited to just writing about love. You write about other things. And I began as a songwriter writing contemporary Christian music back in the early 70s. In fact, I was a teenager when I wrote a song called "Shine Your Love," which is my most popular song. The song that's has been heard all over the world. Recorded by myself initially, and then it was also recorded by a group, the Cruz family, back in Texas. And my song was a single that was released on a Dove Award-winning album. So I have that claim to fame. My song "Shine Your Love," which I wrote when I was only 18 years old, back in the 70s. So, which I date myself, as you can see now. I'm an old man.
Come on.
Yes. I think maybe he did. A lot of soul musicians, black artists, began in church, began singing in church, just like myself. My dad was a minister. I went to church when I was a young man. I went to church twice a week, and in fact, because we did not have a piano player in my church, at the age of 9, my father said that you have to learn how to play the piano because we need a piano player for our church. So my background in music began playing old gospel songs way back in the 60s. And so a lot of us started out in church because in the African American culture, church is a big deal. So a lot of singers such as Whitney Houston started singing in church. Beyonce started singing in church. You can go down the line and think of any of the popular artists from the 60s, 70s, 80s. They started singing in church. So that is a big part of our musical background to begin singing gospel music in our churches. To be honest with you, the songs that comes easiest to me are my romantic ballads.
Mm-hmm.
They come very, very easy to me because I'm a hopeless romantic. I love to write about love. But you asked me about pray. What I pray about today is some of the same things that I prayed about, 50 years ago. I still pray about freedom. I still wish to have, better conditions where, even though we've come a long way in America, we still got a long way to go. If you listen to what's been happening on the news, you hear that there's a problem between the African American community and the police in the U.S. There have been a lot of shootings of unarmed black men by police officers. That's a problem. So that's something that we still are striving to get under control. There's a lot of political turmoil in the United States. We have Democrats and we have Republicans, and it's like
Trump
a
and
clash. It's like this all the time, And so I pray for peace. I pray for harmony. I pray for. I never talk about politics because I don't like. I like to be liked by everybody. So if you stay anonymous, you can be liked by everybody. And more than anything in the world, I want people to hear my music. I don't care how much money I make. If I can come to Russia, or if I can go to Spain, or if I can go to any place and just share my music, I'm happy. That makes me the happiest. Well, I would say, small clubs, but to be honest with you, Sergey, I am more popular in Russia, in Eastern Europe, and Ukraine than I am in the United States. My music is listened to more by Russian-speaking people than people in the United States. It's crazy. But
it's normal in
it's
modern
normal.
world.
Yes, but it started 6 years ago when I went to Almaty, Kazakhstan.
Yeah, I know it.
And I went there, and I was just there to visit a friend. And while I was in the hotel, the manager of the hotel found out about me, and he saw my website, and he invited me to go and perform at an exclusive nightclub in Almaty. I had 4 days to rehearse, and I had never performed. I had not performed in many years in front of an audience, but I managed to perform a concert at this exclusive nightclub in Almaty, and to my surprise, the audience loved it. I could not believe it, and I thought, wow, this is how Elvis felt. I said, what is this place? I need to come back to Kazakhstan. These people love me, and the Kazakh people really like my music, and I was just amazed. And ever since then, I thought maybe I should go to Russian-speaking countries. Maybe I should go outside of Texas, outside of the United States, which I have been doing for the last 4 and 5 years. And my biggest tour was last summer, where I came to this club, Alexei Kozlov Jazz Club, and I performed at 6 other jazz clubs in Novosibirsk, Kazan, St. Petersburg, and I performed at 3 jazz clubs here in Moscow. And I received standing ovations at each of the jazz clubs, which was like, wow. Well, but my songs have lyrics. Every one of my songs have lyrics.
I know.
Almost everyone have lyrics. But music is a universal language. Well, it depends. It depends on, I guess, the song. It depends on the artist. It depends on a lot of things. To me, most of the songs I write will be accompanied by lyrics. I write the music and the lyrics. I've written a few songs just straight instrumental, no lyrics. But my most popular songs are the songs that have lyrics, and the songs about love. And my Russian-speaking audiences tell me. They tell me which songs they like on my website. They seem to understand the lyrics because the lyrics are very simple. They're not very complicated. For example, I have a song, the first song on my CD, which is, do I have a copy of my CD? Here we go. The very first song on my CD is called I Wanna Fall in Love with You. Everybody understands that. I wanna fall in love with you. It's just very simple. It's the hook line. And so whether you can speak English or whether you can only speak Russian, you understand what the song is saying, and because
you can hear it.
You can hear it.
Understand.
Yes. And I noticed that when I come to Russia or Kazakhstan or Ukraine, in every city there is an English-speaking radio station. Well, not English-speaking, but a radio station that plays English songs, American music. And so the Russian-speaking audience has become adapted to hearing songs from the Beatles or from whoever, Ray Charles, and so they pick up the phrases, I'm sure, very easily, and so certain words connect automatically. So I would like to think that lyrics and music together is still the way to go, in my opinion. In my opinion, I don't think there's any borders as far as music.
Yes.
Well, when you think about it, I'm from the West and I'm here in the East, and people like me and they like my music. So I don't see any borders myself personally, in my opinion. I think that, like I said before, music is a universal language. The beautiful thing about music today is the internet. The internet has made it possible for me and my music to travel all around the world. 20 years ago, that wouldn't have happened. People here in Russia would not know about Lee Mays from Texas. But because of the internet, people in Japan, Korea, Russia, Ukraine hear about my music, which I think is absolutely wonderful. I'm sure that that there are some popularity in my country with musicians from Russia. Yes, of course, I'm sure there are. But like I said, I'm not very familiar with very many myself. To be honest, I have not been in very many jazz clubs. It's amazing that I have been able to come to Russia and to be able to become familiar with jazz clubs in this country, and I think it's wonderful. I wish we had jazz clubs in the United States, in Texas, like they are here. But the Russian culture seems to embrace more of the jazz club scene than, at least in Texas. I know in certain cities, like in New York, there are more jazz clubs. In Louisiana, New Orleans, it's more prominent. But in my area, Dallas-Fort Worth, we don't have a whole lot of jazz clubs. So we only have maybe one or two. Mm-hmm. So maybe there's one in Fort Worth, and then there's maybe kind of one in Dallas, but they're not anything like Alexei Kozlov jazz clubs. We don't have this. So. Well, for one thing, I hope that the candle never goes out, because if the candle goes out, then you're dead. I hope there's always some fire inside of me. But I'm always looking for inspiration. I'm always looking for inspiration in people. I'm always looking for inspirations from what happens in life. every day I look for inspiration. Inside of my brain, there's always music. Not always. I don't want you to think I'm crazy, but I hear melodies from time to time. Sometimes it can happen in the middle of the night. I can hear melodies. And sometimes I will get up and I will record. I will get my recorder and sing the melody. And sometimes something develops from that, but a lot of times nothing does not develop. But I'm always wanting to be creative. There was a period of time in my life when I wasn't performing for about 20 years. But even then, I would still write music because something in the back of my mind said, well, what if your career took off again? Then you would need songs to sing. And little did I know back in 1990, in 1985, in 1995, in 1999, that I would be here today in 2016, needing songs so I could share with the audience here in Moscow. I didn't know that back then, but I continued to write music, not knowing that they would ever see the light of day. So my philosophy is that you always, if you're an artist, you always continue your art, because to me, being an artist is a way of life, because there's always something to be inspired about. Matches to people, to me, are matches. When I meet people, they can inspire me. It could be a homeless guy on the street that I've written a song about. I've written a song about a guy that's homeless. I wrote a song about a lady that was homeless who asked me for money one day, and I felt so sorry for her. And I went home and I gave her some money so she could eat, and I went home and wrote a song. So people inspire me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.